Hello, I'm Mark. I'm pretty new to keyboard stuff. I've really only done hot swappable stuff so far, but today I'm going to do my first keyboard mod. And here's a sound test. I've been using the Boba U4Ts stock because they are actually recommended to not be lubed and filmed. However, I did just get a bunch of lubing and filming stuff for a different project, so of course I wanted to try it. So I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to take one switch apart, lube and film it in the recommended Gazoo method, then compare the lubed and unlubed versions. And for this, I'm going to be using the Gateron switch opener, which makes things really easy. And to do this, I'm going to be using Krytox 205 grade 0. It's actually not recommended to use this thick of lube, but this is all I have, so I'm going to go ahead and try, but with a smaller amount than is recommended. I am also making one other small adjustment from the Gazoo method. They recommend to donut dip the bottom of the spring, but I'm not going to be doing that either, since I suppose it doesn't really add much to the feel of the actual switch itself. And the major concern behind the manufacturer not recommending lubing these switches to begin with is, well, first, they come slightly factory lubed, and second, you don't want to ruin the feeling of tactility in the switch, which, spoilers, does happen kind of anyway. And as per the recommended method, I'm only putting a little bit of lube on the side pieces of the housing itself. Don't put it on the stem or the leaf, of course. Also, be sure when you do put these switches back together, if you choose to lube them, to depress the stem to ensure that you don't damage the tactility of it. Then, after pressing the stem a couple of times to make sure that the lube is evenly spread, I'm going to put it under my H key and then we'll give it a little sound test. It doesn't come through incredibly well in the sound test, but it does make it smoother, and by smoother I mean actually less tactile. It's not my favorite thing, but I'm going to try my best to give you a more direct comparison. I don't know if it came through necessarily in the video, but the stock ones definitely sound a lot more deep and a lot more tactile and just feel better, personally. Which is why I'm not going to lube and film the rest of them. I'm just going to leave them stock. But in a way, that's going to make the sound test at the end a little more true to the difference in the keyboard itself as opposed to the switches. Because more often than not, when somebody does a keyboard modding video, they change out the switches and it doesn't really give you an idea of what the actual mods to the keyboard even did. Also, you might notice my camera setup change a couple of times during this process, because having an entire tripod in front of you during a keyboard and takedown video is probably not the best way to set things up. So switching things around is going to be warranted when you do this for the first time, so just bear with me. So for the first main part of the mod, the ticky spacebar is definitely something we gotta take care of. So I bought these C3Equalz stabilizers in this really nice little mint green color. It actually came with a nice little guide to explain how to put them on if you're new to keyboard modding, which is nice. I'm not saying that guide would have been helpful for me at some point in the past, but I totally never bought stabilizers that didn't fit this board. However, these C3Equalz ones do fit just stock, which is really nice, especially for someone who's a little afraid to do things like clipping and whatnot. These ones do come pre-clipped, which is awesome. Also, the stock stabilizers on the GMMK Pro are certainly not bad. However, when I got my board, the board itself was way overlubed, or not the board, but the stabilizers were incredibly overlubed and had a film underneath them that made the stabilizers stick, which was incredibly infuriating for someone who had no idea what the hell they were doing. So taking this apart for the first time was a little scary since I'd never done anything like that before. But I guess it was a nice experience to learn. However, I kind of just wish it worked at the outset. So then next things next is putting together the new stabilizers. So I have some dielectric grease here, and essentially I'm going to lube the inner wire and then just put them together as normal. One thing that I definitely learned through this process is, damn, is it hard to over lube your stabilizers. I don't even know how they did it. I put a lot on these bad boys, and I had no issues at all. And I actually have some films that I'm going to add as well. So I truly don't know how GMMK made their stabilizers over lubed to the point where it was not even popping back up. It's actually it's almost impressive to me. But anyway, yeah, you could be pretty liberal with the dielectric grease you put on these things. So feel free to lube to your liking in this instance. Next, I'm also going to place these stabilizer cushion things underneath the stabilizers, and then go ahead and install them. I mean, I don't know if you need to see it. It's basically just putting stickers on your PCB. Next is just putting it back together. But do as I say, not as I do, and make sure you screw in your stabilizers first before trying to put the plate back on. Because if you do that, you might run into problems, but don't take it from me because I totally didn't do that the first time. Next up is the famous tape mod. All you really have to do is just get a roll of painter's tape or something that's not super adhesive, and then just layer it on the keyboard, making sure that the connector still is easily accessible from the PCB. Just don't cover that part, and you're good. Also, right here, I forgot that I didn't have a knife to actually cut the tape. But next, I want to try something that I've never seen somebody do before, and it's probably because it maybe doesn't work. I don't know, but we'll find out. So I'm going to replace the foam on the GMMK with a non-slip kitchen drawer mat. It actually has a really interesting feel to it, and its uneven surfacing might actually help cancel out some of the noise and reduce some of that pinging noise from the stock sound test. And the sudden jump in quality on this is all thanks to my fiance, who is a lot craftier than I am and was able to cut this perfectly into shape using the outline of the foam. Then we just put it back together. Easy enough. As long as you don't get the foam stuck in the corner like I did. Now time to press the bad jump cut button. Thanks for watching, and I'll leave you with the final keyboard sound test.